Hello, and welcome to the video tutorial for the Teacher Center and Assessments feature on SciencePower. We will be going through a walkthrough on how to set up a teacher account, add a class, assign assessments to a class, view student scores, and understand the Student Center that your students will use. We will also take a look at the assessment feature that was designed as a diagnostic tool for teachers to test the big themes of each lesson. Assessments also include an open response question that promotes writing and literacy that teachers can manually grade. The Teacher Center can be found through a link in the upper right-hand corner. A teacher can log in, create an account, or retrieve their password if it is forgotten. Let's create an account. Enter in your first name, last name, a display name that will appear on your Teacher Center homepage, an email address, and a password. After logging in, you will see the Teacher Center homepage. Here you can access the curriculum correlations, textbook correlations, and professional development videos. Underneath that, you can see the My Classes area. I already have 2 classes created. Let's create another class. Click on Create New Class. A pop-up will appear. We're going to create the blue class. Click OK when you're done. As you can see, it was added here, and it's all in alphabetical order. You are also able to edit a class or delete a class. Add as many new classes as you wish. Let's click on the pink class. I already have 3 students in this class, Jeff, Heather, and Erica. I can edit any one of the students or delete them from the class. I can also change the class name or view the class reports. Underneath, I can add a student or import a list of students in a CSV format. There's also a link to view mapping. Let's click on Add a Student. The Add a Student pop-up appears. Enter a student's first name, last name, and email. The email is optional and not required to add a new student. Underneath that is Import a list of students as a CSV format. You can browse and upload a CSV file you already have, or download the CSV template. That way, you know exactly how the computer needs the CSV file in order to read it. There's also a button called View Mapping. Here you can see the mapping details for the pink class. Students map themselves to your class when they create a student account. This allows teachers to see if their students have been correctly mapped. As you can see, one student is already mapped. If a student incorrectly maps themselves, a teacher can remove the mapping. I will remove the mapping now. Now, there are currently no students mapped. Mapping is referring to how the Teacher Center and the Student Center talks to each other. They must be mapped together in order for teachers to be able to assign things to the students and for students' scores to be recorded properly in the Teacher Center. Now, when the student Heather goes to sign in, she will need to map herself to her class. I will be showing that in just a moment. Now that we have a class with students, let's assign them some assessments and lesson reviews. This link can be found in the left navigation. On this page, a teacher is able to assign the site assessment, a unit assessment, or any of the lesson assessments or lesson reviews. Here you can see there are many options. Each lesson has a pre-assessment meant to test a student's initial understanding of a topic and a post-assessment that is meant to clear up any misconceptions a student may have had. We also offer a print option and a lesson review. The lesson review is a 10-question review that will test more on memorization of the lesson content. Below those options, you will see 2 links, Print Assessment and Print Assessment Key. Teachers can download the assessment and the assessment key as a doc or docx file. Since a teacher will be able to download the student assessment for students to take in a class as a Word document, they also have the option of rewording questions or adding more questions from their own lessons. This allows teachers the opportunity to customize the printable assessments. The assessment key contains all of the correct answers and example open response answers. This key is only available in the Teacher Center and students will not be able to access it. Let's assign a few pre-assessments and post-assessments, both online and print. Now let's choose the class we will be assigning these to. We're going to use the pink class again. After you select a class, the students' names will appear. This gives teachers the option to assign assessments and lesson reviews to all students or certain ones. Click OK, and you will see that your assessment has been assigned successfully. Also in the left navigation, there is an area for teachers to download the teacher guides, the student study guides, and the graphic organizers. There is also an area called My Account. This is where teachers can edit their profile or log out. Let's log out now so we can sign in as a student. Students can access the Student Center from the button on the home page. The Student Center and the My Research accounts are linked, so if you already have a My Research account, you should log in, or you can create a new student account, but know that you will also be able to access the My Research account with your new login and password. From this page, students can also access the Student Study Guides. There's a Login Help button, Create an Account, or if you've forgotten your password, there's a button to help you with that. Let's create an account. For students who need to create a student account, you need to enter in your first name, your username and password, as well as a security question and answer. If it is your first time entering the Student Center and your teacher has already set up a class, you will need to take care of mapping configuration. You will simply need to select your class and then your name from the drop-down. Mapping configuration allows the Teacher Center and Student Center to communicate with each other. If you incorrectly map yourself, your teacher is able to remove the mapping at any time. If a teacher does remove your mapping, you will have to go through mapping configuration once more. Here on the Student Center homepage, you're able to access the student study guides, as well as view your assignments. You can already see that there are several assignments assigned to you. You're able to see these because of the mapping configuration you did when you first signed in. In the assignment section, you can click on any of these links to take any of the assessments or lesson reviews that you've been assigned, or you can go to the actual lesson. You may also delete any of the assignments, but make sure you talk to your teacher before you do that. Remember, even if you delete an assignment, it'll still show up as pending in your teacher's gradebook. That way they know that you still have to take it. Make sure you talk with them before you delete anything. In the left navigation, you can also access any of the assessments and lesson reviews. There's also an area to access your scores from lesson reviews and assessments. In the My Account section, you can go straight to your My Research account, or you can edit your profile or log out. Don't worry, students, if you forget your password. A teacher is able to reset it in the Teacher Center. Let's click on one of your assignments. Let's go to Pre-Assessment for Fossils. This pre-assessment is for fossils. You can see that there are going to be 4 questions. There is also an open response question area. The character limit is 1,000. It is not required for you to fill out the open response question in order to click Next. However, I'm sure many of your teachers will want you to explain your answer. When you've answered all of your questions, click the I'm Done button. You will then come to the end screen. As you can see, I only got 2 out of 4 correct. I can either go back to the Student Center to review my results, I can also begin the lesson to learn more about fossils, or I can go to the lesson home page. Here is the lesson home page for fossils. As you can see in the lesson content, you have your pre-assessment in bold and your post-assessment in bold. To just take a post-assessment, a warning message will appear that you still haven't taken the pre-assessment. That is up to your teacher. For the How Much Do You Know section, this is where you can access a 10-question lesson review or fun vocabulary and interactive quizzes. The lesson review will be tracked in the Student Center and in the Teacher Center for your teacher to see how you've done. Back in the Student Center, you can see that the FOSLS pre-assessment online is no longer listed under your assignments because you've taken it. Let's go to My Scores. Students are able to view their pre-assessment, post-assessment, and lesson review scores. Many of the things are still pending. Open response scores are pending until your teacher decides to score them. Here is the FOSL pre-assessment that you've just taken. You can see the questions, the answers that you've answered, and your open response answers. Teachers, it's important to note that your student is not able to view the right or wrong answers for their pre-assessment. That way, they can't simply go in, memorize their scores, and then ace the post-assessment. However, in the Teacher Center, you will be able to see how your students answered the pre-assessments. Okay, teachers, that was a quick look at the Student Center that your students will be using. I hope that was helpful. Now, back in the Teacher Center, we're going to go back to that pink class. Now we're going to go back to the View Mapping area. As you can see, Heather is now mapped again to the correct student in your class. Hopefully your students will only have to map themselves once, like you saw earlier. But again, the option to remove mapping is available if a student accidentally maps themselves to the wrong student. Now let's click on the student Heather to view her scores. Here you can view all of the pre-assessment, post-assessment, and lesson review scores for a student. In the question score column, you can see how a student has currently scored, or if it's currently assigned. You can also see an area that says Enter Score. This will appear for the print assessments that you assign to a student. We allow teachers to enter scores to keep all of a student's grades in one place. And in the open response score, you will see the word pending. It is pending because you have the option of manually grading it yourself. You can also view the date that it was taken. You can also delete any of the assessments or lesson reviews, as well as go to that lesson. You're also able to reset the password of this student. After you've clicked Reset Password, this pop-up will appear. At any time, you can also change the view. Let's look at the FOSLS pre-assessment online that your student has just taken. In this view, you have the questions and all of the answers. As you can see in the answer column, a student answered bone, and that is incorrect. There's a red X next to that answer and the correct answer underneath. You can also view a student's open response answers. This is also where you have the option of grading the open response questions. As a reminder, the open response answers are not required from students, and entering a score is not required of teachers. However, let's give this open response answer a score. Well, the student only put in the word dinosaur, so I guess they wouldn't get very many points. Let's give them 1 out of 5. Click OK, and you will see that the new score has appeared. This will now appear also in the student's score. We hope you've enjoyed this short Teacher Center tutorial. If you want more information on Science Power or any of our other products, please view our training guide.